a good old collection video. It has been a while on this channel. I think a lot of you found me through my cozy games video, but also through my Nintendo Switch collection video, which is very exciting. But if this is the first video of mine that you're watching, hey, hello, my name is Kat. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back here if you've stopped by before. I'm so happy to have you here. There are a lot of new games coming out for the Nintendo Switch just this year, 2022 alone, so I'm really excited to make an updated collection video in the next few months. But in the meantime, since I bought my first 2DS XL in my recent video, I've been really falling back into the 3DS game library. And since that video as well, a lot of you have requested for me to share my 3DS collection. And if you've been with my channel since before that Switch collection video, then you might know that I do love collecting Nintendo handhelds and older games. It's so crazy to think that the 3DS is moving into the retro category, but it is, you know, a previous gen system. It's the most recent before the Switch, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. But I've been really loving watching 3DS collection videos as well, so I thought I might as well throw mine in the mix. It's not a large collection for the games, but I do believe that I'm not yet done collecting for this system. I'm again just rediscovering old favorites and discovering new ones once again, and I will definitely be making more videos about the 3DS in the next few months, and even an eShop recommendation video before it closes down for good in 2023 following this one. So please feel free to subscribe to stay tuned on that. If you're also into collecting Nintendo games, retro handhelds, and other geeky stuff like myself, then you're probably going to want to add some really nice Japan exclusive goodies to your collection, like this 3DS, or this 2DS. Well, Bai has you covered. A huge thank you for sponsoring this portion of the video. Bai is a Japan proxy service that gives you access to some of Japan's largest online shopping websites like Yahoo Shopping and Yahoo Auction, where you can find the best deals in the new and secondhand marketplaces. Here's how it goes. Bai buys the items for you, anything you want from Japan from different vendors, receives it at their warehouse, and offers a package protection and consolidation service, which they can then ship to you in one convenient, little or big if you're like me and you might have gone a little bit shopping happy on their website. Right now they are running some special promotions like discounts on the items that you buy or some free shipping coupons, so definitely check out the special link down in the description to check that out. Thank you again to Bai for sponsoring this portion of the video and providing this awesome service for people like me. Okay, let's get to the good stuff. So these games were in alphabetical order on my shelf, but I sort of dropped them on the way to taking them here where I'm filming right now, so please bear with me. All of these games, by the way, I would highly recommend. Unfortunately, I did have a larger collection years ago, but I got rid of some and only kept the ones that were my absolute favorites. But I am working on rebuying those, and I have digital games as well, which we'll talk more about once I do the eShop video. But for today, let's just jump into what we have here, shall we? Starting off with Harvest Moon and New Beginning. So this one is probably the last good Harvest Moon game. It might have happened right before the company split up, and it is now continued as Story of Seasons. So the current Harvest Moon games, or at least the ones after this, if I remember correctly, aren't by the original creators anymore, so that's why they're now doing Story of Seasons and also the Rune Factory series. But Harvest Moon and New Beginning I do remember to be really fun. It has been years since I've played these games, at least 4 or 5 years, because I did stop playing most of these when the Switch came out. But I'm really excited to replay a lot of these again because the 3DS library really is one of my favorites to this day. Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer. So this, if New Horizons on the Switch is your first Animal Crossing game, Happy Home Designer is pretty much like Happy Home Paradise. It's very, very similar idea where you meet all of the villagers and you help them decorate their homes. Of course, New Horizons in every which way is much more expanded and more complex, but Happy Home Paradise was and still is one of my all-time favorite 3DS games. I remember taking this around with me. It was a go-to game whenever I went traveling, I thought that doing the little house decorations was a nice way to do little quick gaming sessions on my 3DS when I'm like on a plane ride or at a hotel or something. I really miss those days, and I hope that we do get to travel again very, very soon. Very fond memories about this game. And a perfect follow-up to that is Animal Crossing New Leaf. I adore this game. I spent so many hours on Animal Crossing New Leaf. My first Animal Crossing game was Wild World on the DS, but I spent the most time on this one, and it's actually the game that prompted me to get the Nintendo Switch. I at first was a little nervous to get the Nintendo Switch when it was first announced and then released, just because it followed the Nintendo Wii U, which we know didn't exactly do the greatest, unfortunately. But when I heard that a new Animal Crossing game was coming to the Switch, that's when I decided to get the system. And of course we know that I love the system now, but back then this was the little game that got me to buy the Switch. I loved it so much, I adore it, and I'm actually thinking about starting a new game. Getting a new cartridge and starting a new game, because I don't have it in me to get rid of my save file on here. Next is Yokai Watch. This was a game that really took me by surprise. I first heard of it because of my young niece at the time. She started watching the anime, and I didn't realize that it was on 3DS, but I got curious because it was kind of a similar idea of Pokemon in my mind. It was, monster catching, but instead they're yokais, or like ghosts, spirits. Lots of different yokai with different abilities, and you pretty much hunt them down and catch them. And besides that, the story itself about how the Yokai Watch came to be, and just the really colorful cast of characters and witty writing, this was a super enjoyable game for me. And on that note, I do also have Yokai Watch Bony Spirits. So like Pokemon, they do also come out with 2 to 3, I believe, different titles that have version exclusive yokai. I don't, just because again, I still feel new to the Yokai Watch series, even though I've played through these 2 games. I don't know the differences in each version or the different yokai that you get in each version exactly, but this was just what I ended up with at the time, and again, super fun. Yokai Watch 2 does follow the events that took place in the first game, so not necessary to play them in order because there is a little bit of a recap, but it was still nice to do so. Ooh, yes, this one, very happy to add to my collection. I did spend a little bit more on this. It's still sealed because I haven't played it yet, but I will get to it very soon, and I'm so excited. It's Yokai Watch 3. Unfortunately came toward the end of the 3DS life cycle, so there wasn't a lot of prints to my knowledge, and it's also quite hard to get. At least where I'm from, I had to order this online because I just didn't even end up seeing it in like EB Games, now GameStop Canada, or any other video game retailers. So I'm so happy to have this. I am planning to play this very soon. Jumping back to the farming sims, we've got Story of Seasons. This is, just Story of Seasons, the very first Story of Seasons game. This was a little bit confusing for me when it first came out because I didn't really understand then what had happened between Harvest Moon and Story of Seasons, but again, we're now very well aware of that. Yeah, I don't really remember much about the story of this one, but I do know I spent a lot of hours on it, and I still have the original save file on here of my first ever playthrough. We've got a sealed Story of Seasons Trio of Towns, and this one was a little bit accidental. I thought I lost my original copy of Trio of Towns, and so I decided to order another one, and these go for like a little bit of money these days as well. I think it's like Yokai Watch 3, one of those instances where there's just not a lot of prints available, at least where I'm from, so it was quite pricey. But I really wanted to replay it at the time, and then I ended up finding my original copy. So I do have an open version of this somewhere. It's not in this stack, but like the name suggests, there are 3 towns where you kind of bounce back and forth, and each town has like a different theme and different crops that grow better. This is definitely my favorite Story of Seasons game on the 3DS. Pokemon Y. Probably comes to no surprise that I also have Pokemon games on the 3DS. I usually get the red version of each release. So there was X and Y, and then there was Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and I also got the red version. With Omega Ruby, just because I started with Pokemon Red and Fire Red, and since then I don't even check the version exclusive Pokemon that are included in each games, but I just end up getting the red version, if that makes sense. So not a lot to say about these. They're Pokemon games. Very, very fun. The first time that I've seen a Pokemon game in 3D for the 3DS, of course, and I just remembered being so blown away, and I just think that's such a wholesome memory, because seeing how Pokemon games are today on the Nintendo Switch, the younger me could never even imagine. Last but not the least, Pokemon Ultra Sun. I did have this as the original Pokemon Sun at first, and then I sold that to be able to get the Ultra Sun version. So it's Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and they're basically just expanded and improved versions of the original Sun and Moon. So decided to keep this. This might be my favorite 3DS Pokemon game, just because I loved the island themes that it has. Very like tropical, very Hawaii, and there were island trials instead of gym battles, and I just thought at the time that it was such a fun idea, and I also really enjoyed the Alolan region Pokemon. So we've got Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, and this one I remember really enjoying. I mean, apart from it being a Zelda game, and all Zelda games that I've played have been super enjoyable, I liked this one in particular because you can change it into like that flat 2D Link that can travel different ways through walls than the standard 3D Zelda. I don't know if I'm explaining it very well, probably not, but if you've played this game, I hope you understand what I'm talking about. My favorite part in Zelda games are the puzzles, definitely, and so having that 2D, 3D aspect to it adds a different layer to the gameplay that I remember just really enjoying. I also have Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. This is the 3D version, of course a remake to the N64 version. This is the first time that I experienced Ocarina of Time, and I had Majora's Mask, but I remember I don't think I ended up loving that one. I think I found it a little too challenging for me at the time. I was obviously younger than 2, and I didn't play a lot of challenging games because I've always been more into like the farming cozy games that we love so much on this channel. But I remember finding Majora's Mask a little challenging because there was this like time limit based aspect to it, if I remember correctly, but I am now happily jumping into it again in the Nintendo 64 online version that just recently released. So hopefully I do better this time because I'm now a more experienced gamer, if you will. We are down to the last few games. The next one here, Luigi's Mansion. I did show in the unboxing of my 2DS XL because this came with the 2DS that I bought from the previous owner. So this is a remake of the first Luigi's Mansion, the one on the GameCube. I also have Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon somewhere. I couldn't find it. For some reason it wasn't on my shelf, which is very sus. But Dark Moon was actually my very first Luigi's Mansion game, and I do adore this series so much, and I love the one on the Nintendo Switch as well. This one I've yet to play through still, but it will be one of the first ones that I play next. Yes. Oh my goodness. Fantasy Life, you guys. This is one of... I know I'm saying like a lot of these, again, are my favorites, but this game, Fantasy Life, probably it's up there for one of my all-time favorite 3DS games of all time. Like up there with Animal Crossing, kind of level of just adoration for this game. I played this so much put so much hours. I started so many different life paths. I restarted this game a few times because I wanted to try out the different life paths and experience the game, you know, in different ways, because basically, if you don't know what fantasy life is, let me tell you. It is such an adorable little RPG life sim. So let me read on the back. It says, choose one of 12 classes and evolve your life when you adopt a new one. Craft items, learn spells, level up, journey to the ends of the world. Create the life you've always wanted. Craft, cast, hunt, and battle your way through a vast world filled with magic, dragons, and ancient secrets. The art style is adorable. The world is just so much fun. The writing, the dialogue, there's like a lot of lighthearted comedic points to it as well, and I just thought that that was really fun. The story itself was really nice and engaging, and it just kept you wanting to learn more. But my favorite part about it definitely are all the different classes, because you can do whatever you want. If you want to specialize just in one thing, for example, just be a witch, then you can just be a witch mining or fishing or blacksmithing or being a chef. This I really wish would someday hit the Nintendo Switch, even if it's just a port and not like a complete remaster or a sequel. This is such a good game. If you have never played Fantasy Life before and you have a 3DS, I really urge you to try this one out, and you'll probably see this again in my eShop video as well. Persona Q. I love the Persona series, and this box unfortunately is a little bit beat up. I did buy it pre-loved, and it comes with a game and these really cool like Arcana cards in the package. So Persona Q, what's really cute about it is that it brings together the different protagonists in Persona 3 and 4, I believe. I just like that there was a way to play Persona on a Nintendo console. My very first Persona game was Persona 4 Golden on the PS Vita. I am a late starter into the series, but it now stands to be one of my absolute all-time favorites. I love Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal, and of course I had to own Persona Q for the 3DS. There is also Persona Q2. This one I haven't played yet. This one adds the Persona 5 characters as well, so it's 3, 4, and 5 all together, and I am excited to get into this one as well. Last but not the least, a big box, my only big box 3DS game, and this is Shin Megami Tensei 4. Another beautiful dungeon crawler like Persona. I did end up playing Shin Megami Tensei 5 on the Nintendo Switch on my channel. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, especially the ones that typically come to my channel for the more peaceful and relaxing games, but this is one of my all-time favorite series along with Persona. I usually, to people that have never played Shin Megami before, I describe it as like a more mature and dark version of Pokemon, because instead of catching adorable little pocket monsters, you catch demons and you can fuse them and you use them to battle, and they help you in your journey, and etc, etc. Just really fun. Okay, so still with me? So that wraps it up for the games. I will show you really quickly all my systems as well, and like I mentioned, I think in the beginning that I do love collecting Nintendo handhelds. All of these apart from the 2DS XL I did collect before all the prices for retro gaming and Nintendo handhelds and all of that skyrocketed in price in the last couple of years, so I got a really good deal for all of these. I'm super grateful that I was able to do that before. Again, everything became too expensive. I don't need all of these, but it simply brings me joy, and it's all about enjoying the simple pleasures in life, I suppose. A few people have wondered how I've grown my collection, and the simple answer is just that it kind of just accumulated by itself. I never intended to like get a big collection. That's why I even ended up selling a lot of my 3DS games. But for the handhelds, I knew that I wanted to build a Nintendo handheld collection of at least like one of each of their handhelds, if that makes sense. So I do have one version of each 3DS release, and because Nintendo being Nintendo, they did release a lot of versions for the 3DS line of systems, and the very last one that I've yet to own and now own was the 2DS XL. So I do believe I own every single one of the 3DS systems that they released. By no means is this a weird flex as well, by the way. Like I said, I just enjoy sharing, you know, what I love with all of you guys, and I love watching these collection videos as well. So I work very hard, and this is how I choose to treat myself. Okay, my puppy, if you've seen him in one of my videos from a couple months ago, he wants to say hi, and he has grown so much, but it looks like he just wants to hang out right now on my lap, so we'll let him do that. The very first 3DS that I have is this Teal 3DS. This was the first 3DS model that they released, and these are a little bit dusty because they are displayed on my office shelf. Yeah, I really like this color. I love blue and all the different shades of blue pretty much. So I really enjoy this one, and I remember being blown away when the 3DS was first announced, because to play 3D games without the need for 3D glasses, I just thought that that was so innovative and really cool and really special. So following that was the 3DS XL, but I've got the beautiful gold bar looking Hyrule edition. This is probably my favorite 3DS that I own. The 3DS came out with some really, really gorgeous limited edition systems, and just even their regular colorways. The Nintendo Switch could use a lesson or two, I feel, for the 3DS, and they even had really beautiful themes. I mean, the Switch is 5 years old now, and we still have only black and white, so I did get this one boxed as well. So really beautiful golden box to go with a golden console. I really like this one. The new 3DS line of systems. The 3DS XL was more apparent in North America. There wasn't really a lot of the just new 3DS, not the new 3DS XL. It's so confusing. This was my main 3DS for years. I did have the one in metallic red before the Galaxy one, but I exchanged it for this one just because I thought it was so pretty. Here you go. It's got like a nice metallic sheen to it. I lost my other arm to my puppy. He's laying on it right now, but on the inside it's like a metallic blue, and I just think it looks amazing. And actually, I take it back. The Zelda 3DS XL isn't my favorite 3DS that they came out with. It is definitely this one right here. So though uncommon, the new 3DS in North America, or at least in Canada, or maybe just where I'm from, I don't know. We don't get a lot of the cool special editions here, but I did get my hands on the Pokemon 20th anniversary new 3DS that they came out with, and the new 3DS allows you to swap the faceplates of it, and this came with the Charizard and the Blastoise original gorgeous artwork from the original Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue. Of course, as a fire starter bias, I have the Charizard faceplates on mine, and I also adore the new 3DS because it has like the colorful buttons here, kind of like the Super Famicom. Yeah, this is the only 3DS that I own that I don't really play with, just because it's more of like one of my more coveted collector items that I own. And here is the Blastoise faceplate. Of course, if you've been to my channel recently, then you know about the purple 2DS XL. This was the most recent purchase and addition to my Nintendo 3DS handhelds. Probably my last one as well, unless I get a hold of like the cool Animal Crossing 2DS XL, or the Pokeball 2DS XL, or the Hylian Shield 2DS XL. There's so many beautiful limited edition versions for this, but I unfortunately didn't pay attention to it because it came out after the Switch was already out, and by then I was already fully into my new toy. But I am really glad to have gotten my hands on this one, and oh my goodness, I almost forgot the infamous door stopper. I do also have the original 2DS, not the 2DS XL, but just the 2DS. A lot of people made fun of this one, but you know what? I actually don't mind it. It reminds me of a Game Boy in form factor and just how comfortable it is to play on as well in hand. Both 2DS and 2DS XL took away the 3D feature, hence 2D not 3D. But this was the first 2DS that they came out with, and I just thought that, you know, it's a perfect system for kids as well because there's no hinge to break. It's quite sturdy. You can probably toss this around and it not see much damage. I find this to be a really fun console, and I know not everyone agrees, but it was also such a good deal, and you can buy these. For a while they were selling it with a game already bundled with it, so for the cost of, I think it was like $80 US at one point, it came with Mario Kart and other games that they might have bundled with different versions. I think that it was really worth it and a really good entry point to the entire library of the 3DS games, and also all of these are backwards compatible to the DS library as well. So that brings us to the end of this collection video. I hope you guys enjoyed, you know, my little, but also I feel like just a very special collection for me personally, because each handheld in each game holds a fond memory or two. It's something that I really enjoyed through the years and something that I worked hard for. So let me know below what you were playing on your 3DS in 2022, or which of these systems are your personal favorites. Or maybe there's a game that you think I should check out and would recommend to me based on the titles that I have here. Again, I will be making another video about my digital games and the eShop games that I would recommend you buy before the store closes down, so please keep an eye out on that and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Like the video for more Nintendo content. Goodness. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.